Hello there, everybody. This is Risen from the Turbo Mopar forums. I am back to do a chem2 tutorial today. As with decal, chem2 is a binary file editor to edit our calibrations and make them easier to deal with by humans. If you need to get a copy of it, I believe you can go to moparchem.com or probably ask somebody on the forums. There's a lot of people who have copies of it. I would highly recommend, once you get a copy of it, that you look over this file here, this chem2.pdf. Jeff Allen put a lot of really great information into the documentation for chem2. And it should probably only take you a half hour, 45 minutes to go through it, but there's a lot of really good stuff in that document. Again, the software or code that runs your car is in a binary, so we will be using chem to manipulate that binary. And it also, chem uses these calx files, and in order to be able to edit a binary or a calibration, you need to have one of these calx files. And these files are basically just a XML format, which some of you may be familiar with or may not, but they're very easy to sort of understand. The layout of the file is what you see in front of you. This first set of fields here is all descriptive. This binary file actually tells chem which bin file to open up when you load the calx file. I haven't ever tried them without the calx and the bin being the same, but I would imagine that if you were to change this binary file to something other than its standard format, as long as the calibration was described properly by the calx file, that it would work just fine. Title of the calibration, description, authors. The Turbonator code has seen a lot of work. The boost goal, and again, this is descriptive. This doesn't really have an effect on the actual calibration. The injectors, again, it's descriptive, but it's actually used by chem. Map, again, descriptive, but I believe it's also used by chem. And this ROM offset is the base of where the computer will start looking for the ROM. And if we go down here to an actual table, I'm going to skip this first one because it's not really a table. It's the config constant, and chem actually doesn't know what to do with config constants at the moment. Somebody needs to extend the program to be able to understand them. So if we come down here to this table description, which you can see highlighted here, and the description of a table or constant in the calx file format is it always starts with this table offset, or as you can see below, this byte offset, and it gives the address of the offset for the table. And again, this table that we're looking at here begins at address C00B. And you'll see that each of these fields ends with a slash followed by the name of the field, and the same goes for the table offset. And again, if anybody understands XML file formats, it's pretty standard for XML. So we have the name of the table, and again, it's enclosed in these. These are actually called tags. It's enclosed in these tags. The group that the table falls into, which you will see once I open chem. The type of the table, and this is signed or unsigned. Basically negative and positive numbers, or only positive numbers. Common, this is the Chrysler name for it. I'm not 100% sure of what this simple tag does, but I haven't, I looked really quick and I couldn't find where it was used. The input for the x-axis, the minimum units for the x-axis, the maximum units for the x-axis, maximum value, maximum value, and the units for the x-axis, and the output for the y-axis, and the minimum and maximum for the y-axis, and the units of the y-axis output. And again, there's a description down here of what the table is used for. Again, you can't use you can't edit the bin file without having one of these calx files. And there was a tool to convert between the decal.tbl format and this format. However, I can't seem to find it. So maybe if I dig it up, I'll do a short video on that in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and open Chem here. And again, I highly recommend that you read the PDF that comes with the program. It gives a lot of the information that I'm about to give now, but there's also some really good in-depth, engine theory, fueling theory type stuff in there that's actually very helpful. Okay, this is the window for the Chem application, which I'm going to expand here so we can get a little better look at. Now I'm actually going to open a file right off the bat so we can see some of the features of the program. So now the basic use of the main screen is this drop down here shows the groups. If you recall back from when we looked at the calx file, each table or constant can be a member of a group, and the groups are all listed here, including this timing one, and here you see that table that we were looking at before, which is actually the first table the program loads. So I'm going to go back to basic here. Down below the group drop down, we have a list of the tables in the group that you currently have selected, and they have an address that the table begins at, the Chrysler name, and the type of the table. And if you double click on the table name, it will pop up this description of the calibration object. And you can actually, I believe, edit most of the items that you saw in the calx in here. And there's tooltips for each of these fields that gives you a bit more of a description. You could change the group, change the type, which I would not suggest unless you absolutely know that it needs to be done. You can check or uncheck this scale with injectors if you know that the table or constant you're working on needs to be scaled with the injectors, which I will go over briefly in a minute.